especially when leaders become misleaders, mentors become tormentors. Yaga, 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 yaga. Bimba omutima gumenyese naye nga kyemanyi munywanyi nawe gukumenyese abantu eyo gye mpitira bayongobedde bye basuubira nga byawukana ku bye balaba ate abalala bo ne babyetama banyigirizibwa ne babulako gye balopa baabwe egye wandibadde olopera kibeera kizibu okufunayo obwenkanya gamba osigala wansi ensi bwe kusuula situkawo mangu tutambule munsi teri kyangu lugendo luwanvu situka tugende mu maaso situka tutambule embeera emalamu amaanyi naye topowa tugende situka tutambule lugendo luwanvu bwe tulemerako tutuuka kale imuka tutambule embeera emalamu amaanyi topowa tugende utambule olugendo luwanvu bwe tulemerako tutuuka Remember, an injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Till we have to keep moving. I don't know what don't kill you will only make you stronger. Emyaka gibadde mingi n'okutoba nakwera kubadde kunjiboyi n'ensuubi libadde lingi nga tusuubira nti oba embeera nakyukamu wakiri ati nze kyenzudde enkyukakyuka gy'oyo yamunanga eri mikono gy'omwennyini kubanga oyo gw'olinamu ensuubi mu mazima naye alirinamu gwesebo kale gwe buli bw'onoogwa yimuka otambulirewo ebisoto byekubireko mu kkubo kubanga buli lw'onoogwa n'olaga nti okwamu amaanyi eno balabira ku gwesebo obugubi bw'oyitamu naffe bwe tuyitamu naye tulemerako paka lwetunamalako omuliro gutwakiramu gusinga bwe tuyitamu yaga 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 situka tutambule embeera emalamu amaanyi naye topowa tugende situka tutambule lugendo luwanvu bwe tulemerako tutuuka obiyimuka tutambule embeera emalamu amaanyi topowa tugende obiyimuka tutambule lugendo luwanvu kati nzijukiza kwe yebase na buli eyekubagiza muganda wange kugamba situkirawo tulinawo omulimu omunene gwa kuzimba buganda era ensi bisaba baliddawo oba tosobola kutuka wakiringa otambula oba tosobola kutambula wakiringa oyabula oba tosobola kwabula wakiringa weewalula naye kyonna kyekiri sigala ng'omuvinga tewali mireme gye bagenda kuletera awaka ku sosiyo oba tuli mu madibuzano kangole ku voisiyo sigala ku kosiyo naye manya rights zo tolema kukolerera abuganda.
Hello, good evening, good afternoon, and good morning from wherever you're watching us from. We want to appreciate whatever you're doing to make sure that you're part of Uganda at Crossroads. Tonight, we are honored. We have so many different guests. Of course, we have Honorable Member of Parliament, as we already communicated earlier in the earlier shows and other programs. So I want to thank you so much for being part of Uganda at Crossroads again. Life MTV and Campfire TV USA. It's an honor to have Honorable Francis Zaake. Very soon you'll be seeing him. He is live in the studio. But as Uganda at Crossroads, we always focus on the things that happen in Uganda. Probably every week, the major stories, politically, economically. What we want to see is how we can bring change in the country. So having members of parliament come in the studio and having other resident guests share their ideas or views, what they think can be done to improve the economy, is one of the best things we can do for our country, Uganda. So in the studio, I want to welcome Roy is former Gedi president from Makerere University, Sarah Joy Bakanasa, and Honorable Francis Zaake, the representative for Mukondo Municipality. Mitena Municipality. Excuse my language. So I want to thank you so much, Honorable Member, for joining me. Sarah, thank you so much again for being part of Uganda Crossroads. And Roy, thank you so much for representing the voices of the youth, just like Honorable Zaake. You guys, what you're doing is really a very great job. Thank you so much. So every time we started the show, I always break the rules. Tonight again, much as we have a woman in the studio, they always say that is first. I'm going to start with Honorable Zaake. So Honorable Zaake, it's a great honor to have you in the studio today. How is the going? Let me start that way. How is life so far?
Yeah, life, I will not say that it is that good. It's full of challenges, but we are optimistic enough that we are overcoming, and we are sure that it's all getting to an end, and we are soldiering on.
All right, thank you so much. So, Sarah, how was last week? Last time we were here and things kept on changing. Today, same story. Uganda's politics is almost the same. So, what's up?
It's not the same. Every good evening, good afternoon, viewers on the East Coast, West Coast, and then viewers who watch us from Uganda, from Middle East, UK, all parts, different parts of the world. Good evening to you. You're always amazing when you come on and watch us and listen to us break down issues that happen in Uganda. Definitely, there's nothing interesting. I would say, my week on a personal note was amazing, but when I look at the political scene in Uganda and how things unfold, it's nothing amazing is coming from there. So.
All right, thank you so much. Roy, you are from Margate president, and I want to go back into the history of your presidency in Makerere University. We have some, okay, thank you so much, producer. Just a little bit, how is life? Not more about the presidency during your time in 2016, 2017. How is life today?
But because we are conditioned to think that every single time someone asks, how are you?
Yeah.
You must say, I'm fine. I will say, for that sake, I am okay. But, situation back at home, there is nothing good back at home. The only thing we have is each other. And that's what keeps us going. But anyway, even our president tells us that when the tough gets going, the going must get tough. So we shall soldier on.
All right, thank you so much. So last week, some of the major stories that made headlines in Uganda, and of course we reported here as Campfire TV, OTT, we still have Honorable Member Robert Kyagulanyi with People's Government, People Power and People's Government. Those stories are still ongoing, and we expect a lot from you guys to share with us since you're on ground and you're in the system. So that would be great. But I want to start with Honorable Zaake. Remember a couple of months ago, if not years, the Oluwasaga, you were dangerously affected, and the president came out to say, hey, you ran out of the police cells and they found you in, I think, in Sandia Hospital. So probably you broke the laws. How was that? Tell us more about that before we go into these other stories of politics in Uganda. Was it true?
Yeah, it's a little bit fascinating. Actually, even just next Friday, I'm going for that court session of the same case of the alleged escape. It is kind of something disturbing or perturbing, whereby a full head of state can come out and say something he's not even sure of, whereby he can allege something. So, all the world, internationally and everywhere, we are sure, and everyone at least is believing how we are tortured together with His Excellency Bobi Wine and the other 35 and other members of parliament. We are tortured, beaten, cut. Even most of us have the scars. My fingers were cut, my ears, my face, everything. You saw the pictures. Up to this time, I cannot walk well. Actually, I've just gotten a kind of medication right here in the US for my right leg. So all that kind of thing, meaning that by that time I could not even understand what was happening on planet Earth. Up to this time, I cannot move. How did I escape? It is actually in court, so I cannot discuss a matter in court by the laws of Uganda. But what I can let you know, all those who are coming up to be kind of the people who are who put the case, who are used to put a case, actually they are speaking the truth in court. That really we are used to speak ABCD and we are not sure about that. But what we know, you were beaten, you were tortured, to the kind of situation that we could not even recognize. They could not even recognize me. I just got to know when I'm in hospital, being refused to get medication. They took me to Chirudu. In all hospitals, they could just put us in Chirudu together with His Excellency Bobby Wine.
Which is a government hospital, right?
You can imagine, but there is no medicine. It is so stinking. Whereby, if you take a patient right there, actually, the matter, all the kind of situation of that patient just gets worse. That's the kind of hospital they put us in. But due to the pressure of Ugandans, due to the pressure of the diaspora, what you guys did, it was so good that we were able to get medication, that we are living right now by the grace of the Lord. I really thank you. But for that case, it's a dead case, and we are able and very sure that we shall win that case. However much it is a rotten system, the judicial system is theirs, but there are some cases whereby they are really bogus.
Yeah, thank you. You know what's funny? When I was with Sarah here, we were talking about your case, how you were beaten. It took me long to believe that really Honorable Zaake's fingers were really hit. But when I looked at them today, and the scars, and then I started picturing the picture that was put all over social media, I'm like, Jesus, how did you survive? But thank God you're here, and we're here to get more from you. Sarah, do you have anything you want to add on that?
It is by the way, without even seeing him now, if you saw the pictures that came out, they were not doctored. Those were pictures of him being the way he was brutalized. But it's a shame. When President Museveni comes up and says such statements, it is a shame because Museveni has so many informers around him that give him the wrong information. And a man of his age, at 75, you would expect him to have a certain kind of wisdom to first do research before he comes up and says such statements. It was a shame for a president of the country to come up and say he escaped from hospital, yet the situation in which he was in was so dire, even we were praying that he does not lose his life. But that is typical of President Museveni. He does not, you've never seen him say something he just mocks every situation. Because I would expect him to be sympathetic of what his men had done to the likes of Bobby Wine, the likes of Zaake, but he just likes to mock the situation. He does not care. If it was maybe his children, he would have thought otherwise. But I know the case in court. That's a court. That's a case they are gonna win because unless our system is really, as much as it's really rotten as it is, I know they're going to win that case because every evidence is all right there. And if you're going to choose someone because their case is treason, but already they were battered. So basically you've already played with them because if you're going to charge people with treason and already you've victimized them, you've beaten them, you already have no case because you have no case. So it's a case definitely they're going to win. But I know on the other hand, the state is buying time just like they usually do. They just want to drag the case on. But I'm praying that they don't drag it on up to 2021 because we have a very important campaign, campaigns and election coming up, presidential campaigns. So I hope they don't just drag it on so that they distract Bobby Wine from standing for president.
All right, thank you. On that same topic, Roy, you were, I think, still the president of the good president in Makerere University, right? No, during that time or after?
No, I was president 16-17.
Yeah,
that happened
to 2018.
Yeah.
So did you encourage more youth to come on the roads and demonstrate to release Honorable Zaake?
Actually, by the time our colleagues were tortured almost to death, I was supposed to go with them in Aruba. Then I had a very terrible accident, and then I fractured my leg. So all that time, I was bedridden for 6 weeks. But I did what I could within my means. And we saw demonstrations. For your information, the demonstrations about free Honorable Zaake, free Arua 33, free Honorable Bobby Wine, they began from Makerere. Because I believe we did a good job back then, while we were still in office, to enlighten the masses, most importantly the students, to get involved in decision making and politics of the day, because if you don't happen to talk politics, politics shall definitely happen on you.
You guys and people power, you just seem to be having a great success in universities across Uganda and, even these institutions. Is that success going to create a difference come 2021, Honorable Zaake?
Yeah, that is something, actually it's a milestone to the people power and to the people of Uganda, because this is the very first time we've seen a pressure group winning almost all public universities and private universities. It is only a few cases, but at least we've won over 99%. And by that, I can assure you, we've achieved something. Because what is happening right now in Uganda is that most of the people still have that kind of fear within themselves to do something which is right. The president may call it wrong, may call it whatever he wants, but what we know is that we have rights to do peaceful demonstrations by Article 29 and whatever. I will not be shy about that. Whenever you feel you're challenged, not only challenged, but whenever you feel something is going on whereby it's not right, you're able, the Constitution empowers you, it gives you all the rights to do something. So having university students within these people, they are within one community, they are within, they do not have challenges like how these other people have. So it is very, very easy to organize, to mobilize, and that's what President Museveni fears most. He fears the youths, and students are into that kind of gap, all bracket. The youths, the people who are below 35 years, we are so many. So by that, we've succeeded a lot by winning almost all the universities. And by that, we even have people who've been past guild presidents. For example, myself, I was a guild president of Ndejo University. At the same time, I joined the Parliament of Uganda.
So you were the lucky one?
Actually, not lucky.
So many
are lucky. Actually, we have so many guild presidents in the Parliament of Uganda.
Yeah.
And by the next Parliament of Uganda, trust me, even my brother, Semboga Roy, must join us.
Yeah, you have, if I'm to take you
Right.
back, you have in the East African Parliament, you have Bide was a guild president of Makerere University. You've had the likes. There are people who are there are many guys who are very vocal into the university politics. The likes of Odongo To, the likes of Dan Kidega, the likes of
Gerard
Karuhanga. You have the likes of the guy who was just one in the lawyer in Asumani Basari. He was a guild president. Yeah, he was a guild president of Makerere University.
So if I break from there, you guys, that means for one to get into parliament later, you have to go through leadership in university to get a president?
Definitely not. It doesn't mean that. But just like he explained, the way university politics, if you've been following university politics for some good years, there is a time, if you remember, there's a certain period in time when Makerere University used to be shut down so many times. And that was the result of university students being either murdered. I remember there's a time, I think I was in secondary school, when university students carried a dead body to parliament. Yeah. And they shut down the whole Kampala. Business shut down because of university. So definitely people power winning most of the public universities and some tertiary institutions. That scares President Museveni, because these are young people who are vibrant, and you have right now a group of young people who are not willing to be bought. They know the value of their vote right now.
Information, right? Whereby, if you remember, the falling of President Milton Obote, it was because of the universities.
Yeah.
And the likes of Dr. Kizza Besigye, name it, there were so many. They were coming from Makerere University.
The Winnie Kizzas.
Getting to the bush.
Yep.
They were coming from Makerere University. That's why right now, Museveni must be scared of the students and the universities across, but the kind of pressure people power has put through the university. Actually, it is so good to us. However much we are facing all these kind of challenges, we are brutalized, we are tortured, so many Ugandans are being killed every day, So many mothers die in hospitals while giving birth every day. So many kids on streets of Kampala and so many other towns within Uganda. So all those kind of challenges. But such things energize us to soldier on each and every day. That at least we're optimistic enough that we have the power as the people and we are overcoming very soon.
All right, so in March, you tabled on the floor of Parliament, you mentioned a woman who died by the negligence of a health worker in Mityana. And in the report, when I was reading your social media post, the woman who was responsible for the case is seen again in the same hospital.
True.
Did you follow up or did you put it back in the Parliament of Uganda?
Yeah, actually, I followed up in the Committee of Health, led by one of my colleagues within the same region of Mityana, Greater Mwende. I followed it up, but as you know, in Uganda, people get jobs not on merit, but by kind of relations or relationships with the people who are managing such institutions, for example, the hospital. And whenever you try to do something, you try to stop someone, they will put that person aside for a moment. Just like how very big kind of people in Uganda, in the Uganda government, they've been accused of so many things, but they end up lying to Ugandans that they're being put in prison or charged anywhere, but they just put them in the diaspora right this side. And they just hide from this side, and Ugandans think that those people are in prison. Yet they are not. That because they belong to the government, they just lie to people that that person is in prison, or is in Luzila, or any other kind of prison which is very far away, whereby no one will follow up. So by the time as you're doing some other works, as I'm doing the struggle, as I'm doing so many things, that person will get back to work, like how that lady I explained. And finding out the lady was there. Getting back after having learnt about my post, they pushed her to get aside. By the time I was there, she was nowhere. But I'm very sure at this time I'm in America, I'm very sure she's back at work doing the negligence and killing more Ugandans.
Yeah, but to add on what Honorable Zaake said, this I think the health sector being in a messy state is a pattern. I think we were here on this panel when we talked about the young girl who gave birth to 6 kids from Zambia Hospital, right. And then on the way to Mulago for intubation, she lost all the 6. But how was she being taken to Mulago? She was taken to Mulago in a normal taxi. How do you take prematures in a normal taxi? You mean we do not have ambulances that are air conditioned? So the kids could have, these babies could have died because of humidity, and that they were not. So it is really absurd, and there are such things are still happening in Uganda, that a mother can go through labor carrying 6 kids, and then just like that, they are lost in between being taken to Mulago Hospital. And then you wonder, a hospital like Zambia Hospital, meaning they don't have incubators. So every child that is born there that is a premature has to be transported to Mulago Hospital for incubation. But it's a state, and then the next day you hear we are paying investors. We are giving investors, in fact we are giving investors money to start building hospitals, and you wonder, why don't they just first improve what we have right now in Uganda? Because if the issue we have right now are incubators, why can't we use that money we are giving investors to build hospitals that we do not know that are gonna, we do not know how effective it's going to be. We do not know, because you read very well the money was paid to a company that makes furniture. Right. A company that deals in furniture in Dubai. That's the company we gave money to build a hospital. So we would use this money to provide incubators. The cancer machine is still down. People are going for chemotherapy in Nairobi. Right. So it is something, you know, we can talk about the health sector on a daily basis. It is really bad. One time I shared a video of what was happening in Old Mulago, right? I think a month ago, 2 months ago. Someone was in Old Mulago, took a video, and then they sent it to me. I shared it on social media. It's a terrible
So I want to come back with Roy. But for the people who are watching us live, you're free to send in your comments. You're free to send in your questions. We are going to be reading them. And of course, the honorable member and Roy and Sarah are here to answer those questions. So I don't have the power to answer the questions. They have the power to do that. I have the power to ask them these questions. So I thank you guys. So yeah, Joy, Roy, you were...
Before you break off, I wanted to say something about the health sector, because I'm passionate about it. That's why I belong. But health sector, just like any other sector in Uganda, it's broken. There are no institutions. There is no functional system in Uganda. The dictatorship has consumed everything and is the alpha and omega. in Uganda. That's why we need to take him out. I'm going to give an example. As people were debating the government spent 29 billions. 29 billions to do consultations. But I can tell you by then, we didn't have a single functional CT scan in the hospital. How much is it? Fully installed back at home, 4.5 billion Ugandan shillings. So that money which was spent on the MPs to consult here and there could afford us 3 of them, all 4. But I can tell you as we speak right now, nothing is being done. So that takes me back to the priorities of government. What are the priorities of government? The priorities of this government is not for the Mwananchi. No, it's not for the Muntu wa wansi. The priority of this government is for them to entrench themselves further in power. And how do we go about that? It is very simple. We need to kick the junta out of Uganda, and then the people take charge of their destinies. But as I speak right now, the current government has nothing, not even 1% good to offer.
All right. So I want to thank you. You need to kick the junta out of power. And I'm also sure he's also interested in kicking you out of the country. That's number 1. And of course, putting you back in prison. Number 3, creating more injuries. I think on the camera, people can see Honorable Zaake's leg that was aligned. Was it yesterday when he went into the hospital? Are you feeling a little bit better now?
Yeah, I'm feeling a little bit better because I received medication and I was given a physio boot to keep my foot flat on ground. You know, I've always been moving with normal shoes, and my foot has always been sidelined on one side, on my right hand foot. So far, I'm on medication, actually good medication, and still the doctors were even able to liaise with the people of India. The doctors were treating me in India, and also my doctors back in Uganda in Ruaga Hospital were treating me. And so far the situation is not bad. Actually, it is much better, improving. And I'm very sure in a few months I'll be able to get back on my foot. So, Mr. President, stay warned. There are now, if my leg is getting back, just know that you're going to receive the worst.
All right, thank you. So now, last week, the most important part was OTT. You're a member of parliament. You represent a big number of people from Mitiana municipality. And the government is working so hard to facilitate your iPads and iPhones and Samsungs rather than helping the community. What is your next step as a member of parliament?
It's actually so disappointing. Over much, we are not surprised by the acts of Uganda government or the institution of parliament to be so kind of mocking, like to mock Ugandans. Yeah. This is actually mocking Ugandans. In the very beginning, we are with Honorable Kyagulanyi, and he introduced a very good theme of this tax must go. And we stood our ground. We even went to the streets. We challenged that. They actually even accepted our kind of view, and they went ahead to just cut the percentage from, was it 2% to 1% to 0.5%. Meaning that they saw that this tax was so oppressive and it was actually unwanted by Ugandans. And by that, they only had to cut. So this is the time. You know, one time you can come up with something without knowing that it's going to haunt you. Yeah. So they passed a tax. We stood our ground and said no to that tax. Some of us, even the kind of Hansard is so straight and clear about what we said. And my colleagues, led by Honorable Kyagulanyi, we said no on the floor of parliament. So by that, this is the time. Those so-called majority in parliament, they accepted a tax. Right now, it is coming back to them. You know, parliament, they wanted to digitalize parliament, to come from analog system of paperwork to paperless kind of iPads, tabs, that kind of thing. Now this is the time they didn't know that they would be using internet. And we told them that this time you're creating a problem which is going to also affect you. Just like the public order management, whatever, bill by then. Now it's an act. It holds people like Mama Babas. He passed it. The few opposition people were in parliament by then. They told him, you're passing something which is going to affect you. One day, you'll come out to say that really, these guys told me and I'm now facing it. This is the time. The members of parliament who passed the tax of OTT, it is now affecting them. Now they are trying to kind of let the taxpayers pay them a tax on their behalf. Come on.
Yeah,
this is unserious.
And
I do not support it. Now the way forward is one. We still insist that that tax must go. We actually not only insist, we persist that that tax must go. And we are going to come up with different ventures, actually not only coming up with them, but we even began with them, of peaceful demonstration of all of those kind of unfair kind of taxes, unfair, the injustices in Uganda, the police brutality, all the kind of torture on Ugandans and the other groups of people. We are challenging that using Article 29 to see that Ugandans receive the best, get a peaceful transition of power, and we are doing that peacefully without conflicting others, without affecting other people with their jobs, with their businesses and whatsoever. We know the law and we are following it rightly. It's just that the government, they do not want to follow the law. When we want to come up with a kind of implementations of some articles in the Constitution of Uganda, they try to break us, to block us. So in that kind of way, you were following up His Excellency Bobi Wine when he was kind of he was under house arrest at his residence. We represented him to take a letter to the Uganda police headquarters in Naguru. They stopped us, but whereby we are using our rights, and it was legal enough to notify them that we want to start peaceful demonstrations, just like how you guys are doing it in the diaspora. Actually, we thank you so much for what you're doing. It is marvelous. It is good. Please keep up with the spirit. That is the only way how we can oust the dictator.
All right, thank you so much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you know, the funny thing about this OTT tax, one, it's an illegal tax because it's double taxation. Already you have data that is taxed, and you're putting a tax on top of a tax. So it is double taxation. It is wrong. It is an illegal tax, for starters. And then on top of having an illegal tax that is imposed on Ugandans, I remember very well some of the arguments Museveni gave for imposing this tax. Museveni said Ugandans are spending a lot of time on social media, and basically he was of the view that maybe they should now spend their time in doing more valuable or reproductive things, that they're spending a lot of time on social media, gossiping, abusing, whatever he termed it. So he imposed this tax for Ugandans who spend a lot of time. And I was reading a report that said ever since that tax came up, you have 2.5 million Ugandans left social media because they could not afford to pay for social media tax and then to pay for all the taxes that were imposed. But it is so sad and sickening. I was reading again the report from Parliament, the reasons for members of Parliament wanting the taxpayer to pay for them this tax was one of the lamest excuses. They said they want to be able to reach the electorate.
And the cost of living is too high for them.
No, but this is a parliament that has just increased its salary by 40%. Yeah. And I'm here going to challenge, I know it is really challenging. I'm going to challenge the likes of Francis Zaake. I want to see people like Zaake reject back the 40%. Refuse that 40%.
Speaking of that,
you see,
let me finish up.
Sure.
But you see,
I know. Let me finish up. I refuse the 40% because first of all, I'm telling you, this is milking a cow that is not fed. Uganda is already bleeding, and the likes. I know the member of parliaments. I know the likes of Zaake, the Bobi Wine. Please, the opposition member of parliament who feel for the people. Please refuse to take this money they are giving for OTT. I'm begging you. Because as much as you want, because the problem we have right now, you have the members of parliament from the ruling party, they do not even care. They've forgotten completely about Ugandans. Because if you say you're imposing this particular tax for Uganda to reach the electorate, how are you going to reach them when majority of Ugandans are not on a mobile, they're not using, they're not on internet?
Okay, thank you, Star.
I think here we are missing a point, fundamentally. Zaake, and there are so many MPs who are willing and who said no to this increment. But I think we are losing a very big picture. The big picture is that the interest of this government is to stay in power. The introduction of OTT, by the way, was not to generate a lot of revenue for this government. Never. The introduction of OTT, this is a repressive tax. It was intended to curtail the freedoms of expression back at home. As you must know, that the current generation, there are so much on social media, they do a lot of mobilization on social media, and we saw how social media hosted a dictator in Egypt. We saw how Hosni Mubarak left. The country regime is not stupid. They understand the kind of following Honorable Kyagulanyi and the other opposition members do have and the capacity of social media. So the introduction of that tax was in fact targeted to Honorable Kyagulanyi to ensure that his influence on social media reduces, but the government loses the big picture. That one, from Makerere University, I can give you examples, that all our class mobilization, class notes and everything are on WhatsApp. I know of innovations from Makerere University that are social media related. I know of people, I have very close friends back there in the country. They have bridal shops, but they do their advertisement from social media because they can't afford the mainstream media. So government is not interested in the well-being of people, but it is interested in how it is going to stay in power. The reason as to why these MPs are being given an increment in salary, it is called term agenda. They are very much aware.
Most of them are
not coming back to parliament. So they are milking their very last. But you're also telling them, we are watching you. By the time you leave that space, when you come down here to Mwananchi, we shall show you. Where is Chitata, by the way? For those of you.
Yeah, we're gonna go on that. We're gonna go on that. But before I leave you, rumors have told me that you're standing as a member of parliament for Kawempe South. Is that true?
Yeah, we are considering seriously to represent in Kawempe South.
Okay. Thank you for mentioning that. At least from Campfire TV. I'll keep you on record and I'll ask you when you start campaigning.
But, to add on a little bit before we go for OTT, now this goes back to Ugandans back home. The voters, Ugandans on social media, I know usually sometimes say, oh, we are backing dogs on social media, but this message reaches out to people in our communities. Either they may not understand English, but we have, one may understand and then pass on the information to another. It is about time we put pressure on our member of parliament, especially member of parliament in the ruling government and those few from oppositions that have chosen to keep quiet and enjoy milking a cow that is not fed. Because if right now, I was reading the report from the clerk of parliament, Kadaga is rejecting this OTT, rejecting taxpayers paying for the OTT. But I read the report by the clerk of parliament where he says now because of they were paying 20% to MTN, now they hadn't factored in OTT and all that. Now they've done an increment, they are increasing the MBs, they are giving MPs to 30,000. It is completely unfair because this is money that is just coming from the pockets of the taxpayer. And it is the same taxpayers who have just increased 40% over the MP salaries in less than 2 months. Because 2 months ago, we increased their salaries by 40%, and now we are going to finance their airtime. We are going to finance their data for them to communicate to their girlfriends, for them to play all kinds of games, for them to do all, because as much as we look at this, they are not representing the people. Because if the issue of having OTT is to reach the common man, what is, even if I was going to ask that to Honorable Francis, what is OTT? How much does it need internet to reach his people?
Okay, thank you. Now, for the people who are watching us on live on social media on different platforms, we want to thank you so much. And please keep on sending your questions and sharing the program. Honorable Zaake, Roy, and Joy are in the house. And the members who are in the audience, you also have the potential to send in your questions to my production team. They will be passing them to me, so we may be in position to ask those questions to the member of parliament. Now, I was looking into Honorable Zaake's issue as a member of parliament, and recently Sarah's just mentioned that they increased your allowances to 40%. Of course, they were even reported in media. Honorable Tamaguzi, who happens to be, I think, your friend, came out to say, no, those are allegations. It's on record. And I expect to have him sometime to come. Did they increase the allowances in the percentage that was released in the media? Because we reported it. Did they increase it? And did you receive that allowance?
What I can let you know is that parliament you're seeing, it is all rotten. That's one thing I can tell you. Let Ugandans not have hope in that parliament. It is full of, I will call them kind of, I even don't have a right word to use to them because I do not want to be abusive on this show. But let Ugandans not have hope in them. They can do anything. And they are not in any way shy to do anything. One day you can wake up when every member of parliament is paid over something like 100 million. It's possible in that parliament. So I cannot rule out any fact. The reason as to why all that is done, it's not because of the few opposition people or the few rightful people or the few people are eyeing for change, but it's because of the majority of the MPs in that parliament. And the majority of those MPs, that is the NRM people, they are over something like 400 and something in that parliament. And they are NRM. We are just few like over 60 or 70. And the few NRMs who are thinking like us, the likes of Mwate Kamwa, the likes of Honorable Nsamba, and some other few other NRM people, we challenge those facts. Actually, what President Museveni did is that he is not accepting the fact that the three arms of government are supposed to be independent of each other. So he is controlling the parliament himself. He is controlling the judiciary. So parliament is supposed to vote for its commissioners. But what is happening in the parliament of Uganda, it is President Museveni choosing the commissioners. As you are aware, that is the same President Museveni choosing the judges.
Yes.
So by so doing that, he is actually telling them what to do and what they should actually come up with. If he wants the increment of the MPs, he will actually just choose his commissioners. And that's what he's going to do. Even within us, the opposition, he chooses the opposition to be the commissioners of parliament. And those commissioners, their work is to facilitate MPs, to work on their salaries. Actually, I want to kind of educate you. It's not the members of parliament who hike their salaries. It is the commissioners, but those commissioners come from the members of parliament, and they are ever something like 5, and it is the Speaker of Parliament to head that committee of the commissioners. And this kind of facilitation, for example, if an MP is sick or an MP is dead, to facilitate all that kind, that is the work of the commission. And by that, if anything is wanted by the president, the commission will accept. So this kind of thing which comes up, that MPs are being they have given them over 40% increase in their salary, it is actually the say of the president. But do you know what happens? Museveni is a mocking president.
Yeah.
He will come out and say, you MPs do not add yourselves salaries, to make the people believe it is the MPs who are doing it. Yet it is himself who chose those commissioners, and he tells them, he dictates. As you know, he's a dictator. He dictates on what to happen. Let me tell you, in Uganda there, even when it is just a ceremony of commissioning a borehole in a community in a village, let me tell you, President Museveni will get there. Just a mere borehole, even a toilet. You just call him in a village, he will come to commission it. He is in charge of everything. He's everywhere. The systems are not working, but himself and his family, the relatives, who are not even ministers, I can tell you, they are in charge of the system, they are in charge of all the ministries, of all the sectors. Whatsoever is wanted can be done. A road can be worked upon in Uganda, whereby even Parliament didn't even pass that road. Anything can be done. So the Parliament was taken over, the judiciary was taken over. So
Police.
I was explaining something to do with the increase in MP's salaries. That is Museveni's venture. Reason why. President Museveni, what he does to a new Parliament, whenever we just reach in Parliament like sows, they avail money in billions of Ugandan shillings. Each and every MP, you have to kind of relieve yourself from the campaign struggle, from all the sweat you've passed through to look for a vote. So they avail billions of money to members of Parliament. So to those who are weak-hearted, they will take the monies. When they take the monies, he will start using your head. You will not be thinking. You'll be looking at what you're being given. So whenever he's interested in anything, you'll be working upon his kind of ideas, what he wants, and that's what he's done. That's why you will never hear anything President Museveni is interested in, and that Parliament doesn't do it.
Yeah.
So that kind of venture, he makes it because now these MPs, they started by buying them and whatsoever. Now they have become so expensive for him. What he wants to do with that Parliament, actually, he's actually in agreement with us that all those who touch the Constitution should not come back to Parliament. Surprising enough, he's supporting that, so that he gets other new MPs who are hungry.
Yeah.
To also, blindfold them. So we are still on that point. We want all those MPs out, and we want the like minds of us to remain in that Parliament and also to bring more, because we are sure by 2021, Honorable Bobi Wine, Honorable Kyagulanyi will be the president, will be the 10th president of the Republic of Uganda.
Oh, okay, thank you so much. Sorry, you want to add in something before I go to something else?
He literally just summed up, and he has educated us about so many things, but still we've been seeing how things have been happening in Uganda. You saw Museveni commissioning a dairy plant. We've seen him open up toilets. We've seen him start a mineral water bottle irrigation. Every stupid,
actually,
crazy...
even opening up industries which are already functioning for more than even 5 years.
I raised up that argument on someone on social media, asked me, and I said, I've never seen a president as busy as President Museveni, because he has killed up all the ministries he has. I wonder why we still have all the 200 plus ministers. I wonder why we have, because you have state ministers, and then you have two kinds of ministers, the state ministers and cabinet ministers. I wonder what is the role of the cabinet and state ministers when Museveni is still opening up village toilets, when Museveni is still opening up boreholes in villages, when Museveni is still opening up dairy plants, when Museveni himself is still going out giving out money to youth in envelopes. What's the use of all these ministers? But it's the same thing to tell you. He has taken over. I saw how one of the judges, her picture came up, how she handled one of the cases. I think she was one of the judges that chased out the case of the term limit. She's the
judge that handled the case of Honorable Kyagulanyi's concerts, where she said that police is right to block them.
Exactly. Sorry, I was mixing it up. That particular judge is on the list to be nominated for the Supreme Court. So you wonder how these people function. You look at the case of when Mbabazi put up a case against the president for the previous election.
Right.
You saw how the judges were sounding all gullible. They didn't even know what to do. And these are judges of the Supreme Court. You've seen how police has been infected by Museveni. Museveni makes orders in the police. The way things are done in police, it is the Museveni dictatorship way of handling things. So basically, we have one dictator running all the different arms of government, giving orders left and right. And at the end of the day, you cannot take out one and not take out the rest. Because I keep telling people, you uproot Museveni, his entire lot is going to go, and you're going to clean up the whole system.
All right. Thank you so much. Roy, do you want to add in something on what these two guys have said?
You see, Parliament is very important, but as Honorable explained, that the doctrine of separation of powers in Uganda is not there. You have a system where cabinet ministers are coming from, the members of parliament. I can give you several examples.
Yeah.
We have a Supreme Court where all the judges on the bench were appointed by the sitting president. So unlike in a neighborhood like in Kenya, where the constitution is very clear, first of all, the judicial system has financial independence, and even appointments come from parliament approved by the president. That's not the case. So when you have a judicial system where the Supreme Court judges, all of them are appointed by the president, they will pay allegiance to the head of state. Well, we had a scenario, I think Justice, the Chief Justice, I'm forgetting the name because I use it as to me anyway. The Chief Justice was a former minister. Bet Katulebe. Then the other judge who read his reading during the appeal of the Supreme Court was a former attorney general or something of a sort. You see that these people will pay allegiance to the other side. Yeah. Even parliament and the executive are entertained. So bottom line, we need to do a system overhaul.
Yeah.
There is a total system failure in Uganda. We need to uproot from bottom to up. And then we rethink our country in a better way, because now the laws that are being made, the Case Act, POMA, everything, NGO Act, they are all oppressive in nature. So we need to want to change our constitution, and I can assure you, and I can guarantee people that in our new world, in sensu busy, these are things that people are going to enjoy.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you guys who are watching us online, and the audience, we want to appreciate the time you're putting in to be part of this show, and of course discussing the issues that lead to the change that people power believers are expecting come 2021. All right, so let me come back to Honorable Zaake. Honorable Zaake, you happen to sit on the Parliamentary Committee of Defense and Internal Affairs, if I'm right. And,
You're right.
And the biggest problem we have in Uganda, if you look at the security, we had recently the issue between Uganda and Rwanda. Someone can say it's foreign, but it still comes back to the internal affairs issues that you guys have to handle. Did you or any other members probe any of the ministers, probably the foreign affairs or internal affairs or even security operatives to come and explain to Ugandans through you as members of parliament on what was going on?
Yeah, we've always been with those kind of ministers within our committee of defense and internal affairs, and we've always been actually probing them and asking them questions about the same. And just of recent, you know, Parliament is now under the process of budget. You know, this is the time whereby different sectors or different ministries come to the Parliament of Uganda, the committees of Parliament, to express their views on what they expect to do and what they did in their past budgets. So in that kind of venture, we always try to probe them on different policy matters, on what they are doing in respect with respecting Ugandans kind of rights or human rights and whatsoever, or any other thing. So we've always been telling them so many things. Many other parliaments have been saying the same things. They've been speaking about the same thing. That's why even when Honorable Chagulanyi came to parliament, because remember when he was in Chadondo East, he even introduced a theme, because Chagulanyi. But when we reach parliament, I can assure you that parliament is not biting. Yeah. That parliament is a parliament which can wake up one day and tells a ministry that, you know, guys, you put back the scratch cards of airtime. And tomorrow, the next week, the following month, a year passes whereby it is not implemented. So Parliament of Uganda, it is an arm of government which makes laws and also tells government on what to do, but it is not an implementation arm. So it is the different sectors or the executive to implement certain things, and also the executive, the judiciary, to also implement the laws we pass. So it is not the issue of parliament to see that this is done, or it's put into action, but it tells them on what to do, and if it's not done, it will still follow up on what it's supposed to do. Like how I follow up on hospitals in my constituents, like how Honorable Chagulanyi kind of inspects most of the government works in his constituents. Actually, we've seen him many times when he's doing that in his constituents. Mitiana people have seen me very many times doing that, and some other like minds have done the same in their constituencies. So some of us in parliament have done our duty, we've done our job, but you know, this government just actually have been not in power, actually must have gone by yesterday, not even today, but by yesterday, so that we receive the change as Ugandans we deserve.
All right, sorry, I don't know. Sorry, yeah.
You see, Parliament has pronounced itself on so many things and have not been respected. I'll give you the most recent and fresh one on people's minds. Parliament agreed that Honorable Chagulanyi, just like any other member of Parliament, let him do his work. He's a musician, doctors in Parliament are doing their work, lawyers are doing their work. Let Honorable Chagulanyi as well do his work. What did we see? A cramp down on his activities. Yeah. His musical shows are all clamped down. Like I said, when under yoke of dictatorship for 33 years, there is no single institution that is functional, including Parliament. And you see, on a bigger scale, by the way, these are MPs are the ones to blame. They have chosen to be dealers of a sort. No one is going to respect them. They go into Parliament to trade. They're trading their conscience, they're trading the mandate of the people for a few pennies. So even it's very easy. It is very easy for the big man in power to play around with them. You see, one time he said, I can wake up one day and I close that Parliament. And he can, because Parliament has turned into a playing ground. But this also goes back to we the voters, that we the Muntua once we are also so gullible. 500 shillings, you sell your vote. Voter apathy from 2001, as we go on, keeps on increasing from 42 to 51, now to 60. And that's what People Power is bringing back. It is motivating the young people, who are the majority, over 75%, to come and participate in the decision-making of this country. So I think, much as you require members of Parliament within their commissions to summon these people, what they are going to agree upon shall never be implemented. Mark you, Museveni and Kagame are obese. From Uganda. They were in Intari. Right. They are obese. And there are long-standing differences we cannot know. For us in Uganda, I don't even know if you have a functional foreign policy that we can follow, maybe scrutinize and say, well, this and this has to be respected. We could be here chanting, hoolbarring about Museveni and Kagame, when for them they're fighting about a girlfriend 30 or 40 years. 40 years
All right. All right, so this is kind of a joke. Honorable Zaake, it's a joke. Would you agree if somebody says that Uganda is a company for President Museveni?
Actually, not even a company. Uganda has become a family to President Museveni. Actually, he has made it a family, whereby in your own family, you can come up with your own rules. You can wake up one morning and tell your family that, you know, you guys, today we shall have supper during the time. That's what President Museveni is doing to Ugandans. So he has turned government to be just his personal family. He doesn't care about others. And he has rightly said that he's on record. He told Ugandans he is not our servant.
He's working for his family.
He's working for his family. That means that Uganda, he has made it to be his family, and he has made that clear.
All right, so before I go to the next topic, still on the issue of security, we have the rising LDUs.
Oh.
Who somehow would say replace the Chibok squad. Now they're taking control. You're a member of parliament. Are you going to go and probe whoever, the Minister of Defense or whoever is responsible for that sector? Are you going to probe them to come into your committee and you ask the reason why LDUs are not serving the common purpose of what the LDU are supposed to do and beating up people?
I've actually just witnessed that just during our brother's show in Busabala, His Excellency Bobby Wine. We have actually tested, we were actually baptized by the kind of, that angry, you know, of the kind of force the LDUs use. We've faced it, and I know how Ugandans have even seen those pictures. Actually, all of them were even just having the urge of wanting to shoot, because I think they've even never shot anywhere. That I think some of them feel like killing somebody, you know?
It's fun.
So they are making it as if it is fun. Actually, let me just assure you that the LDUs we have got from the chiefess of the past, if you've heard of that name, chiefess, those boys who were kind of torturing Kampala people, and now they were turned into LDUs. And that's what is happening right now. During the time of court sanction for the Honorable Chagulanyi, we saw them all over the streets of Kampala. So, whatsoever President Museveni is doing, it just echoes something in our mind that he is in his last times. This is his term again. So that's why he is doing all the horrible things. And let me actually tell you this, as Ugandans, let us not expect Museveni to massage us. Actually, we expect even worse things. He has tortured us. He has put bogus cases on us. He has put us into prisons and police cells. He has done each and everything. But what I want to assure you, Ugandans, that he has done all of that. There is nothing new he is going to do. We just have to be courageous enough, to be brave enough to face him, to do something. Those who are able to do anything, please do it from wherever you are. For you, if you can be able to fund the struggle, you can do that. If you're able to come on the front line, please do so. If you're able to expose them wherever you are, if you just by a tweet, by a Facebook comment, by challenging those who are trying to put us down, because they have a system, they have gotten different kind of people to be put on around social media, because they know we've taken over that. We've taken over the social life, the Facebook, the Twitter, the Instagram, and name it. We've taken over. So they have come up with different kind of ventures to see that they counterattack. So let us do a lot. Remember just that tweet, that free Bobby Wine did something, did wonders. That kind of demo you carried out some time back, it made some kind of changes within their mind. However much they are not ashamed to do anything. But trust me, President Museveni is a coward.
Yeah.
Right now, the pressure people power has inserted on the ground. Let me tell you and assure you, President Museveni is feeling it. And what is going to happen? It will be the worst, which he did not even plan for, because he did not even see the coming of His Excellency Bobby Wine or the coming up of we, the youthful persons. You would have even invited big people here, old people, but now you invite yourself.
You're big.
No, I mean in size, but now I'm a Bonnie of 1991. So most of those times we've been seeing members of parliament, you know, when they are old, with with gray hair, with a lot of experience, you know. Most of our people out there, the young people like me, they're not getting jobs. They're asking for experience of 5 years. Where are they going to get it from? So us coming up, we are empowering so many. We are inspiring people to come up, and we shall make it.
All right, see, you're talking about probing, and I want to understand where you're coming from. You're asking the member of parliament that it is within your mandate to do this, but you are losing a big picture. And I was about to conclude, maybe for you, you are born in the US and you are following Uganda from maybe social media or something, but someone sent me a text here, Dokonyero is your hobby from Budo. Now I understand that you are Ugandan. Things are not the same way they are here in the US. For us back home, the system is broken. Yeah. That even if you probe, you'll achieve nothing. So does you no good to do something when the results are the same and do it over and over to expect the same results? I am going to give you various examples. We had the SPC, remember, during Chugan time.
Right.
These people were picked from the streets, were given guns, and then they were thrown back to the streets. These are the people who are thugging us. They have military training, but with no responsibility attached to them. From SPC, the crime preventers, the prominent crime preventers, we saw how they are used to brutalize the opposition.
Yeah.
And then from nowhere, the president got all the crime preventers and threw them in the UPDF under the reserve army. Even when the UPDF Act is very clear, it is very clear on how we recruit, on how parliament, and the process you should go through. The president overpassed all those processes because it's the alpha and omega, and then he put them under there. Now, these LDUs, my friend, they are not to improve security. They are not to improve security. And let us not forget the eventualities under which they came in. Biriga, Chirumira, and then boom. And that's how dictators operate. They create a situation, manipulate the people, and then they create a solution that can be justified. But I'm telling you, we have seen them operate during when Honorable Chagulanyi, because he had a show on Easter Monday.
Yeah.
It was blocked. So he announced that I'm going to have a press conference to tell the people what is going on. On his way to the press conference, the police was tear gassing everyone. That's the first time we saw LDUs being deployed. But you can see the footage. These guys are roughing up people. We are even failed to understand if they have received the thorough training.
They were trained for 2 weeks.
That they deserve. But these are people who are handling guns. These are people who are in the masses. So the LDUs, their intent is not in good spirit. No. Their intent, as I told you, is to ensure that the man with the heart, his seat is safe. And some of them don't even know. But I have good news. That whether LDU, whether policeman, whether UPDF, these people live within our communities. They buy commodities at the same price like we do.
Yeah.
And they face the same sun like we do. When the time is right, when all the people come together, and all the people of Uganda are yearning for change, I can guarantee you that the same people that he has deployed shall protect those who are going to push him out of power. We have seen it in Sudan, and it is not far away from Uganda. 2021 or even before, we shall see the man of their heart. We hope you people won't give him asylum here.
All right, so...
you see, the funny thing is the LDUs received training for 2 weeks. And after that, they were equipped with guns. I've never seen a president who hates his own people like Museveni. You're giving LDUs guns after training of... Because definitely they haven't... what is the training police officers go through before you come out as a cadre? It is intensive training. How long does armed officers go through for you if you want to join UPDF? It is a long period of time you go through before you come out as a cadre. But for LDs who are trained for 2 weeks, they're given guns, they're going to be paid 200,000. Museveni is training a gang of Ugandans that are going to torture, kill, and steal from Ugandans. The other time I raised the same issue here. If you're going to give a desperate man a gun, and you give him 200,000, and then for a woman who is running a small kiosk selling mobile money, and if this guy finds out that you're making 2 million a day, this particular gentleman is going to come for you because he's training thieves. Because you're paying them you're giving them 200,000 a month, but you've given them a most dangerous weapon that can get him the 2 million in just a day. You've given him a gun, you're paying him 200,000 a month, and he's not even trained. I saw the video footage of how they were roughing up opposition members of opposition or people power when they were rioting about when Bobby Wine said he was the next day was having a conference to see what he was going to do next. They are not trained. They are handling, it is so really absurd. And I do not know whether sometimes they are being given police uniforms. You saw them all walking around the Kampala streets. And these are people who are going to keep one. After all this is done, they're going to be thrown back onto the streets. And they're going to be the thieves. You saw the times of black. When Kampala, everyone used to live on their toes. And still, you're still having the same situation because Ugandans back in the villages are not sleeping. Theft is on the rampant. People are going back, people are entering their houses by 6 p.m. because there is a lot of theft. But again, you've added guns to desperate people who are looking for what to eat. So basically, I don't know whether Museveni's intention is to kill Ugandans. So by 2021, he has reduced the population maybe by 5 million. I don't know his intention is to create more thieves who are going to torture and terrorize Ugandans. The intentions are never right because you totally fail to understand. Even if, I see people telling us all the time, oh, can't you see anything good in what he does? But if you're going to train people for 2 weeks and give them guns, for what good? And on top of that, you're going to get them whenever you want to torture opposition people, or whenever you torture people who disagree with government, you take out these people. And when we see how they're manhandling Ugandans, throwing them on trucks, beating them up, roughing them up, it does not help, it doesn't make any situation better.
All right, thank you so much. Before I go to the next chapter, I want to end up with I'm still looking on my paper here, and I'm just trying to understand you as a member of parliament. You've represented people of Mityana for now how many years? Since 2006? 5 years?
3.
3 years. Do you plan to continue representing them for a number of years to come?
He's done a good job. Why should he stop? I think the people of Mityana still want him. He has done a good job.
Oh, no, I want him to answer that question. Do you still believe?
Yeah, that's a very simple question.
Right.
Actually, I'm still the MP of Mityana, and I'll still be.
You're going to come back as MP?
I will.
A minister during people power government, right?
That would depend more on my credibility.
Sounds good. That's what I always want to hear from members of parliament, because there's some who come and you ask him, are you going to come back? They're straight away, yes, I'm coming back. And you want to become a member of parliament, a minister? They're like, oh, of course, but you've given me a great answer, and I want to appreciate you for that. I'm sure even people who are watching us online and the people who are in the studio are happy about the answers you've given me. So, looking into the coalition, before I go to Chitata, I'd like to look into the coalition. And first of all, let me congratulate you for Joel, for joining your team as a speaker. He's doing a great job. I want to appreciate that. But there is a coalition between your government, the people power government, and the people's government. This is something that is creating chaos, amongst the supporters of either factions. Is that a right move, as you guys who are part of the system of people power?
First of all, I'll tell you one thing. People power is a movement to bring about unity. People power is something whereby you see an FDC person supporting people power. People power has DP people whereby they believe in people power. Still, people power has supporters of NRM, but they believe in people power. We've even seen MPs who are NRM, but they believe in people power. And they feel they are supporting all the kind of ideas of people power. So, by that, we welcome everybody. We want each and every Ugandan to understand that people power, it's not Bobby Wine, it's not Zaake, it's not Roy, it's not you, but it is everyone. As Ugandans, we can have unity in diversity, whereby you are a Catholic, but you believe in people power. You know that people power, that is your kind of right given by the Constitution in Article 1, whereby it tells us that all power belongs to the people. So, having our brothers on board, the FDC, all the people's government, it is actually something good.
All right.
So to Ugandans. And I will let you know that people power, actually, if someone out there thinks that hitting people power is going to kind of put it down, actually, we are succeeding when you hit us. Even when you say something good about people power, we are still benefiting. So we shouldn't give anyone kind of any reason not to unite.
All right,
We must unite, and we believe in unity, and we welcome our brothers on board. If in any way they do otherwise, like how they have done in the past, Ugandans are watching, because this kind of movement is owned by Ugandans. It is the people's power, whereby it must be reflected in whatsoever they do, even in leadership. It must base on the people's kind of views and kind of what they want. That's why even in the different constituencies and wherever, we are going to support people of different kind of political parties. Even those who are independent, like I myself am independent. For example, like how Nobo Chagulanyi is an independent member of parliament. It doesn't belong to any political party. So that's how we are working it out, and we believe in that. We believe in unity. We believe that whenever we unite, that's how we can make things move.
I understand, if I may.
Right, sure.
I understand when read comments from social media and what the common man is saying on the streets. Some are skeptical.
Yeah, because people want
there are people who are
president, and others want Besigye to be a president.
The people who are saying so. However, there are also people who are celebrating this unity. Because look, when we honestly, the word here is honestly.
Right.
When we honestly work together, we achieve more.
Yeah.
If you want to go very fast, you go alone. But if you want to go very far, you go together. So united, we stand. Divided, we fall. So if we put all our efforts together, honestly, the word is honestly, then we shall progress. But I understand where the fear is coming from. That previously we have had an opposition of dealers. We have had optimists. We have seen wolves in the sheep's skin. And that's why people are afraid. But let them not worry. Let us give this coalition a chance. And you see how we can soldier on. Even the Bible tells us, we shall know them by their deeds. And for those you are afraid, because I know that people who can figure out that I'm not sure of this one, I'm not sure of this one, I'm not sure of this one. Let me remind you, Dr. Kizza Besigye was a minister in the NRM government, but he has been on the streets for the last 20 years fighting in this struggle. I strongly believe that a soul can become a Paul. Let us give these negotiations chance, and then let us watch keenly to those that we are scared. And then let us know them by what they are doing. Let us not judge them too early. We have seen people who were against something, but once they see the light, then they start to speak the truth. For us, our role, who are genuine, is to ensure that those we think are not genuine, we keep on giving them reasons day in, day out, to understand the coalition. But let people make no mistake. Let people make no mistake to think that if the opposition doesn't work together, it is not possible to oust this
government.
This government. No. Make no mistake. Those who are for us in power, and I'm going to speak crystal clearly. For us in power, we welcome everyone, and we are willing to work with everyone. Okay. But we also promise. For those whose plight is not for the plight of the people, we promise, whether internal inside power or outside power, or even in government, we shall crush them. We shall defeat them.
All right. So, you will defeat them, and I'm glad. Now, Honorable Zaake, I always have this moment. I call it a yes or no moment. If Dr. Besigye feels he would like to stand as the president, representing the coalition and all, yes or no? Will you support him?
I will not support him.
All right. Thank you. Sarah Jo, you don't like my questions?
I always tell you I don't like the yes and no questions. Because, and I've always told you, Dr. Besigye has tried 4 times. It is about time he gives another person a chance. He should not become under, and this is not an attack on Dr. Besigye. I keep saying it that we don't want an opposition dictator as well. You give another person a chance because, the vibe right now in the country, young people who want to see another young person take lead in Uganda. Majority of us have not seen any other president. All we see is President Museveni. I remember when we were young, we used to stand by the roadside, you know, when President Museveni is coming either by your school or by your area, you stand in the scorching sun. We used to plant banana trees, you know, and we used to stand for hours waiting just to wave at President Museveni. I'm telling you right now, that no longer happens. There is no school that stands by the roadside and plant trees. He's as stale as that. So we want someone else. We want someone, because when you have a population of 80% below the age of 40, you want someone who understands their problem. It's not that Dr. Besigye cannot understand their problems. He could, but he has stood 4 times. You give another person a chance. You see, countries that have developed democracies like the United States, a person is given 2 chances. However good he is, however much people want him, 2 terms are enough, you step aside, we see someone else. So Dr. Besigye having been on the other side 4 times, for me, I would be glad Dr. Besigye supporting Bobi Wine. I see there is nothing wrong with him being behind Bobi Wine and supporting him.
All right, so Roy, yes or no? Will you support Dr. Besigye if he stands as a president?
Let me be clear now. Every generation has its own problems, and those problems can only be solved by that generation.
All right. Okay, guys, I want to thank you for that and the response.
About those kind of yes or no questions. Actually, those are more personal attacks, and whereby we do not want those personal attacks because we have a common enemy, and that is President Museveni. Yeah. That's why we kind of sat and agreed that this is the time whereby we all point our guns at only one person, and that is Museveni's government, the system Vorongoto, headed by Museveni Yoweri.
Yeah, because the reason why I asked you is because why didn't People Power maybe make a coalition with DP Bloc? Remember you guys celebrating an
okay, it's not a merger, it's not even a kind of coalition, but you can be when you believe in the same things. At the same time, do different activities, but eyeing the same thing, of the same goal. We are all scoring, all heading for a goal, and that is ousting President Museveni out of power. And we believe in that. So let's all do what we can. You can be in the diaspora doing what you believe in. That this is, when I do ABCD, it will lead to the fall of President Museveni. People in Uganda, let them do what they can to oust the dictator. So that is democracy. We all have what we believe in, and Zaake, I personally, I have what I believe in, and it's what I think is right. So when that time comes of choosing the right candidate, and Museveni is down, because we have a struggle of not letting President Museveni go to the ballot. And FDC believes in that, DP believes in that, and People Power believe in that. So we are eyeing the same goal, but when that time comes of voting the best candidate, it will be Bobi Wine.
Let me add on something a little bit.
Before you do, the media is blowing the issue of the merger out of proportion. And I don't know if it's intended or it's out of ignorance. Well, if you read the merger, the letter, the understanding was, well, look, guys, we are on the same front, but we are shooting at each other.
Right.
So the agreement was, let us be in different camps. Let us have different strategies, but without necessarily shooting at each other. Because previously, to Balemes and Defiance, we are attacking for the Ndagamontu campaign. Yeah. For them, they were saying, we are not believing in this, we want the man to go as soon as yesterday, and everyone is agreeing to that. But first, we are saying, strategically, we are mobilizing our populace for 2021, and we are saying, if you help us get this man out of power, even today, we shall glad, and any venture geared towards that, we shall support. And we agreed, it is okay. We can attend each other's activity. And then, People Power works with all pro-change groups. We have seen us with DP Bloc, even when they are siding in their memorandum of understanding, we witnessed that. And I can guarantee you, we are going to represent on 22nd for ANT.
For
Mugisha Mondo. Any form of organization that is geared towards that. So there was no merger of a sort that from now onwards, people's government and people power are one thing doing this. No, we just agreed that let us not shoot at each other. Let me make that very clear.
And I wanted to add on something. One thing you must understand, Bobby Wine has said a number of times, that you need a block vote. You're going to compete with someone who has mastered rigging votes for a number of times. You saw what happened in the last election when he intentionally made sure that people in Kampala and urban areas where there are strongholds of opposition don't vote. That was not rocket science. It did not just happen. Museveni did that intentionally to make sure that areas that are strongholds of opposition don't vote, and areas where they have urban centers that have a lot of youth, that they don't vote. So if you have a leader who has mastered rigging like that, you've had areas like Nakasongola where he's getting 100%, and you wonder are cows now voting in Nakasongola? So you need a block vote, and a block vote needs, and again, Ugandans, take away from the politicians, the voters have always wanted the leaders on top to unite. In terms of, we want to push one leader from the opposition to stand against President Museveni. You saw in the previous campaigns, you had Dr. Besigye, you had Mbabazi, you had all these other, almost like 5-6 opposition leaders, all dividing. The message is same. They want Museveni to go, but they're still dividing the opposition vote. But when we have leaders come up and agree at this point in time that, you know what, our main cause is one, we want to out Museveni, but again, we must do it very clearly and tactfully in a better way. That maybe at some point we are going to have them agreeing to putting up one opposition leader to out Museveni. Just like he mentioned, you had the Ndagamuntu campaign, which was on the other hand being fought by the campaign by Dr. Besigye that was talking of Museveni should go now. But if Museveni is not going now, because the campaign by Besigye is not banned, we want Museveni out as soon as yesterday. But the problem, he's still in power, he's still president of Uganda. So if the campaign drags on up to 2021 and you do not encourage people to vote, because you've had a low voter turnout that has given Museveni an upper hand to win elections, even in the previous elections. He has won by lower margins because of lower voter turnout. The campaign by Bobby Wine has been, it's an massive campaign that is encouraging every Ugandan to get their voters card, because one, they deserve it as citizens of Uganda, they must have it, and two, then you have people, because so many youth have not been voting for a very long time. We thought, for me, the first time I voted in Uganda was 2016. I'd never voted before. So you have so many people now being energized, wanting to go to the polls and vote, but they must have Ndagamuntu. You do not want situations where you are unable to vote because you weren't registered. So those are, and DP and the People's Government and People Power coming together and say, you know what, our main goal is one, let's focus on our major problem, that is President Museveni. It's always a good thing, because when you saw what I saw on social media, so many people welcomed it, because so many people have wanted that unity. And so many Ugandans know, unless we emerge, unless we put our interests, because all of us, we are fighting for the same thing. We want Museveni out. But we are keeping on bickering within our small groups, forgetting about the bigger problem that is President Museveni. So when we put all our energies together on fighting Museveni, maybe the next step would be, and what I would love to see is the opposition leaders coming up and say, I'm not even going to say maybe they choose someone. It has been very clear right now, Bobby Wine is the strongest opposition leader you have right now. Okay. I would love to see all the opposition leaders right now, maybe in the near future, come up and say, we are all going to support Bobby Wine. Because having Besigye come back, it is dividing the opposition vote. Having Mau or any other leader come up, it is dividing the opposition vote. Right. And if we come up with one leader, we are much likely to get maybe 80% out of this vote, with so many youth now within Ndagamuntu, and so many people have been sensitized and energized, and so many Ugandans desperate for change, because the time is ripe right now. Many Ugandans are so desperate for change. Everything is wrong in Uganda.
All right, so some kind of information about the Ndagamuntu issue. For us in People Power, we have a belief that we can overwhelm President Museveni. We've carried out a research, and has been so strategic that President Museveni, the highest number of votes he has gotten is not even more than 7 millions. It never before it has happened, President Museveni to get more than 7 millions of votes. Yet Ugandans who are capable of both voting, they are over 19 millions. Yeah. Uganda's population has it is over 40 millions, plus, right. Yeah, 40 plus millions. And by that, if each and everybody registers as a voter, that's why His Excellency Bobi Wine, he told the people that we do not only want supporters, but we want voters. By that, we shall be able to overwhelm President Museveni, just like how we did it in Bujiri, like how we did it in Jinja, like how we did it in Chadondo, how we did it in Lukunjiri, and we still believe in that. So whoever who doesn't believe in so, you just watch the space. Just keep an eye, a close eye to His Excellency Bobi Wine, because ono musajja musobola.
All right. So, okay. So one of the things when this term was starting for President Museveni, he said something, and I quote, "By 2021, we shall not be having political parties." Was his prophecy right? Because right now, we no longer recognize FDC, DP, NRM. Now we recognize People Power, People's Government, DP Bloc. Is it a success to him?
Actually, there are so many friends of ours within even opposition who are using that very prophecy to disorganize the population. But to me, I believe that is not right. President Museveni never predicted the coming or the togetherness of the youths. Yeah. The coming of His Excellency Bobi Wine. President Museveni never saw that coming, I can assure you. That's why he's on pressure. That's why he's so scared. We are so many as youths. So, as you are aware that in Uganda, we stand a chance as youths, and this is our generation, and we believe we can make things move. We can beat all odds standing our way to make sure that we are there.
All right, so...
the thing I would say about that, President Museveni could assume he made a prophecy, but what he didn't understand from what he said is the problem of Uganda right now is not political parties. It is not who belongs where. It is not who belongs to FDC, DP, CP. The problem of Uganda is not political parties. The problem of Uganda is Museveni. And our strategy or our energies put in political parties is a waste of time. Our energies should be put in outing Museveni out of power. Museveni needs to go. So having political parties, different political parties, because every party has its own strategies and ideologies, it is again more dividing. Museveni has never imagined in his entire life young people coming up together right now. For example, Museveni, if you ask Museveni maybe in 2015, if he thought there were going to be a movement called People Power Movement, he didn't see that coming. And People Power Movement is unifying. It does not care where you belong. It does not care whether you're DP or your movement or you're who. It is unifying, because our major problem right now is not who is where. Our major problem is Museveni out of power. We want to see another leader. We want to see Uganda prosper, because we've all agreed, as young people and those even older than us, we've agreed that Museveni has stagnated Uganda. Uganda is no longer going anywhere. If Uganda is dead, this is a dead body. This person needs to be buried. Or Uganda is dead. Right. You cannot
actually, to answer your question better, there's a better way. Actually, People Power came up to give life to these political parties, because you can see the kind of unity People Power is eyeing for. So People Power is there to give life to these political parties. President Museveni, something he never expected. He thought by this time, because he was used to the FDC, he was used to the DP. He knew how he could, stumble around them. Yeah. He was very sure. This is the time whereby a new movement has come up to give life, to give hope to Ugandans. That's why now Ugandans are so proud whenever they see His Excellency Bobi Wine. They feel so good. They just actually see His Excellency Bobi Wine as a heaven sent. So President Museveni was wrong on that prophecy.
All right, so
maybe
right,
it is a misnomer And a big one, to think that opposition necessarily means political parties. There are independents who are opposition.
Yeah.
So for him to say that by 2021 there will be no opposition, and then we tag that statement to political parties alone, it is a misnomer. It is misleading. Now, he said there will be no opposition. Honorable Kyagulanyi doesn't belong, I personally don't belong to any political party. But I know I am against this government, and that is opposition. Now, for you to think that the coming of Honorable Kyagulanyi, because I know there are colleagues in the opposition who are trying to use that propaganda to smear people power as a pro-government agent that intends to wipe out political parties. No. Our intent, people power comes with a new dimension. And I think it's a broader one that says that in the current setting of Uganda, political parties, if they operate individually, cannot give Uganda the change that they so desire. So, people power is open-ended. We do not care what your first or last name is. Never. We do not care which political party you belong to. Never. We do not care what is your religion, what is your tribe. No, 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 no. People power, for as long as you speak for Ugandans, for as long as your plight is for a better Uganda, you are people power. You can be NRM for your information, but you are people power. You can be FDC for your information, but you are people power. For as long as when you are in your caucus meetings, you do not front the interests of the few, like our colleagues in the NRM do. For as long as you are in Samba, during your caucus meetings and they're telling you, lift the age limit, you say, no, this is not the best for the country. You are people power. For as long as while you are in your school and the lecturer is molesting a girl and you say, irrespective of who I am, what you're doing is wrong, you are people power. For as long as you are in the diaspora, earning money, sending it back home, reaching out to the congressmen, telling them the money you're sending back home is meant to entrench the dictator, not even supporting the country. You are people power. Those are the people power. People power are the so many disadvantaged Ugandans who are coming together to yearn for change. So it is wrong to think that people power is here to wipe out parties. No, people power is here to make the ground fertile so that people power, rather for other political parties, can function. And how is power doing that? One, they are gearing in pushing the dictator out of the governance so that we can bring back laws that favor free expression, that allow political parties to work. As we speak, Kizza Besigye was put out of a radio station. They are not allowed to have public rallies. Yeah. As we speak, Deputy Union in Jinja was blocked. In Kasese, we saw it happen in Kizza Besigye. We have seen what is happening to all other...
But is campaigning.
But for NRM, it is okay. So Papa is saying that, well, we shall look at FDC operating later on. We shall look at DP operating later on. Let us first focus on the bigger monster. And once we get this done, these small, petty wars, we are going to come on a table and we agree for a free country. POMA cannot exist. For a free country, political parties must operate like this.
All right, thank you. So we're soon closing the show, but there is this important thing that I wanted to ask you. We remember what happened in Sudan, and Bashir's government was overthrown by the people of South Sudan. As honorable member, do you think that kind of force will soon happen in Uganda?
I'll start by letting you know that so far to the way things are moving in Uganda, we look forward to let President Museveni know that if he insists to break the law, to continuing using people, to use his police, his army, his elite forces to break the law, to torture Ugandans and their leaders, what happened in Sudan is also possible. And we are able to do that. So let him watch out and let him not think that is the omega, is the alpha and omega. So that is also possible, my brother. That's why we continue telling our people to always get involved. That is kwebereramu. That do not look at something whereby you know it is not right and you keep quiet about it. You're able to say something or to do something. Another thing, we want to empower everybody. In people power, we do not want to have a few group or clique whereby those are the only people who are, you know, who have the, you know, the caliber and the ethics of leadership or to do something about their country. We want people to get involved. So that can be done when we empower everybody. So that even when they attack Zaake, even when Honorable Kyagulanyi is put in the cells or is in prison, you can become the other Bobby Wine. You can be the Zaake. You can be the Roy. You can do something. You have the power. What those old guys can do, we as youth, we are able even to do better than what they can do. So that's what we believe in as people power, and we still encourage you and give you hope that the moment we come together, even the army you're scared about, even the police you're scared about, actually they are supporting us. 80% of those guys, they're over 30,000. They support us. And we know their numbers, and they actually even encourage us that you guys, soldier on, soldier on. Just don't get scared. When you're together, we do not have orders of firing at you. So Ugandans are coming to learn that. That's why we teach each and everyone, and that one person you can be able to educate another so that people get involved. Each and every village, we are reaching out to them, not only in towns, we are reaching out to them to see that our people get involved and we oust that dictator.
I had to ask this question in most cases. You know, recently there were some elections in South Africa, and the results were quite different from forces of change. Many people expected Julius Malema's EFF to take control of that side. Don't you smell something of that sort to happen in Uganda? President Museveni getting 80% and people power getting...
Actually, my brother, I've got your question. But the problems of South Africa, they're completely different from the problems of Uganda. Yeah, we are all Africans and we have something in common of dictators, of that kind of sort. But the economy of South Africa, if you look at it and research so well, is much better than what is happening in Uganda. What I can assure you, what Malema did was something so great. And as Africa, we are proud of Malema, what he did, and what he managed to get. In just that small time, he managed to recruit all those members of parliament. Oh my God, it was wonderful, it was fabulous, and we are proud of him, and we actually get so much inspiration from him. And what I can let you know, that in Uganda, it is going to be something so great.
It's going to be real.
To add on what he says,
sure.
I don't want Ugandans, I've seen on social media they are called the Musomas.
NRM Soma.
Yes, NRM Somas. They've been on social media making a lot of noise. Oh, you should take a leaf from what happened in South Africa. South Africa is completely, just like Honorable Zaake said, the economy of South Africa is completely different. South Africa has, you don't have, because what you have in Uganda, you have what you call, you have the low income people, you have the middle class, and the gap between the middle class and the low income people is so wide. Because when you ask yourself in Uganda, who is the middle class? It is even hard to explain. You have the rich and the poor. That would be the best way to define the situation in Uganda. The very rich, the likes of Chibules, who are now, I'm sorry to say, he lost his son, his two sons, but I was shocked to see the house where the sons are going to be buried. When some Ugandans in Lusanja have no houses to sleep, I was like, oh my God, this is what happens when you serve Museveni. you get such luxury. I was shocked to see Chibule's house. It's a palace. I was asking myself, how many state houses do you have in Uganda? But back to the question of South Africa, the economy is completely different. You have the president had served for only 4 years. So he was coming, yes, he was coming on for the second term, of which the situation of the president coming on for the second term, he has so many people who think maybe he can do better, all their things he needs to finish up before he goes off. And Marema, whatever he scored, he did a better job. You cannot compare the politics of South Africa to the politics of Uganda, where you have a dictator who has been in power for 34 years. South Africa, you have so many young people. It's a country. In fact, when you look at the whole entire block of Africa, South Africa out of Africa looks like it's like the first world of Africa, or you can call it. It's not a third world country. South Africa is not looked at as a third world country. Just like you look at Uganda and all these other countries as third world countries, South Africa is not. So South Africa's politics plays differently. You've had them change leaders. We've had one leader for 33 years. You've had a change of leaders for all the time. You've had Zuma, you've had Mbeki. All those leaders have been in place when President Museveni is the only leader in power. So it plays out differently. Yes, they may have wanted change, but maybe maybe the people felt the sitting president needed maybe more time. But you have a problem in Uganda where you have a sitting president that has been in power for 34 years, and then the situation is different. I told you the other time, you have Ugandans. Do you know how many Ugandans ferry from Uganda to go and work in South Africa? How many South Africans are running from South Africa to come and work in Uganda? The situation is different. People are going by buses. People are in South Africa illegally. South Africans, they have no interest in Uganda. They have no interest in Uganda. You don't have buses ferrying in South Africa to come and work in Uganda. So the situation is completely different. And you have a Uganda right now where you have so many joblessness, where there's no medication, where the entire system is dead. So you can never compare the two. In fact, at this point in time, you are going to see Museveni is going to be outed out of power. In fact, in normal terms, because even before, Museveni has been rigging. You saw what happened with Dr. Besigye. He has rigged 2 times. The first time he didn't win an election, he rigged the second time. So this time, with all Ugandans, especially the youth, the 80% of the young people putting their efforts together and ready to vote, Museveni is going to be out of power. Those situations are different. They should never be
you want to add in something before, because we're almost closing?
There's something about Chitata.
I wanted to say something about South Africa. You see, the political demographics in South Africa and Uganda are different, and therefore the stimulus is also different. For example, we have had one president for the last 33 years. These guys have had, within that time, they have had, I think, a couple of 4 presidents. So for them, they are not yearning for change. That's not their issue. They are yearning for a better service delivery per se, and they would judge differently. In Uganda, the situation is very different. That we have a dictator for 33 years, we want change. We are yearning for change. The players are different. Yeah. The players are totally different. We have a Malema here, he's a young man. We have a Bobi Wine here, who's also a young man. But we also have a Bobi Wine who is a musician, who has been singing for the last 20 years. You do not know how many people he has been reaching out to. So they have different platforms. And even look at the size. The resources that the EFF requires are not the same resources that Uganda may require. So there are so many parameters that are different, and therefore expect different results this time around.
All right, so let me finish up with this, Honorable, before we give our concluding remarks. The Chitata thing, you introduced it, and I want to talk about it shortly with you guys.
Actually, the Chitata thing?
Yes, please.
The Chitata saga, it is kind of a national matter in something to explain with that there are so many Chitatas in existence in Uganda. That is how I'm going to explain the Chitata issue. There are so many people who feel that they are so powerful. There are so many people who think that they are above the law within Uganda government, within the Museveni government. So the Musevenism has kind of embraced so many people to think that the moment you support NRM, the moment you you're a friend to the relatives of President Museveni, or you're a relative to President Museveni, you're so powerful, you can take people's land forcefully, you can, you know, shoot people at any time, the Kanyamunyus. Those so many illegalities people do think that they're in support of NRM. This was the best example to learn that President Museveni is a user. Chitata was used. Yeah. Chitata thought that he was so powerful. So this is the time whereby the so-called Chitata is now facing the very people he was working for. So this is a warning to those Chitatas kind of examples, that this time you may feel you're strong. This time you may feel you're everything. You're on top of the world. You feel you're in cloud 9. This is a time to feel that, please, my friend, calm down. You reap what you sow. And that word has always been used by President Museveni, that you reap what you sow. Trust me, the Chitatas in Uganda, you will definitely reap what you sow, especially President Museveni.
All right, thank you. So let me finish up with this, Honorable Zaake. You are in the diaspora right now. What would you tell the people in diaspora to help people power with?
Actually, the people in diaspora, they're not very much they are not very different from Ugandans. Actually, these are citizens of Uganda. These are Ugandans. Uganda is their home. And there is nothing like sweet like home. So whenever you're here, please let your soul and mind be at home. Think about the suffering Ugandans. Think about what your relatives are passing through back home. By that, you'll be touched and feel you have something you can do, even when you decide. Even when you came here and you got citizenship of this great country, America, you can still do something back home. Because if you do not do, no one else is going to do it. The moment you realize that you have a strong message to put out right here in this great country, you can change the minds of the senators, you can change the mind of the President of America, you can change, because we are hearing is even soon getting to Uganda. So there is something we can do. Yeah, I appreciate you, you've done the demonstrations and they have actually yielded results. You've actually done the sponsorship to different people who are suffering back home. Not only we in the struggle, the activists, but you've helped so many people. So please, I urge you not to stop, to continue doing the same. And by that, we are arranging different kind of forums so that we talk to you, we let you know what you can do silently, what I cannot speak here. We are organizing up to reach you out in the different countries, in the UK, in the Great Europe, and then in the America and the States, all the states of America, and then some other countries like the Arab countries. So many Ugandans are everywhere. Actually, we have more than something like 5 million in the diaspora. Actually, even more than that. I may even be wrong. More than that. So they can do something to change the atmosphere of our country.
All right. I have a message for our sisters and brothers in diaspora. Not necessarily in the US, because we have those in the UK, Canada, Middle East. Middle East has become a new
South Africa.
New home, South Africa. Now, unlike our country back at home, there is a little bit of freedom here. Speak. Speak. Every single time you speak, you add a voice to the voiceless. Shine a light on the atrocities back home. You'll be shocked. Most of the funds that these dictators use to entrench themselves in power come from these donor countries where you stay. Encourage them to go an extra mile to find out whether indeed the money they're sending back home to our people does the intended purpose. The SFC that tortured these people is trained from here and South Korea. The funding, 75% of their budget, is funded by the American government. But you can see the kind of force that they are training Are you sure that you intend to train kind of personnel to torture the other colleagues? These are democratic countries. And you see Uganda, just like USA and other countries, we are signatories to these human rights charters. There are consequences when you abuse human rights. Let us tell them to evoke those acts so that they can penalize people back home. And then secondly, because the economic situations of people in the diaspora is a little bit different from that at home, than those back at home. If there are colleagues in the struggle that you can support, go ahead, support them, encourage them. And those who are already doing it, awesome. Keep doing what you must do. Secondly, you have the international press here. And we have seen on very rare occasions, international organization, UN and AU coming in to solve some circumstances. And we have seen them doing negotiations and mitigations. The headquarters are right here. Petition them. Do not stop. There are rumors that the president of the US, Donald Trump, is flying to our country. Show our dissatisfaction that, hey, look, where are you going? Why are you hobnobbing with the dictator? Some of us are here because we can't go home, because the situation at home is worse, and you are the people who are hobnobbing with them. Are you sure you want to associate yourself with this kind of person? So it is very important for them to keep on doing that. And when you do that, for us who are on the ground, we guarantee you that you'll come back home to a place that you so desire to live, where everyone shall be free and everyone shall enjoy the indelegable rights that belongs to them.
All right, Sarah, your final remarks, then I go back to Honorable Zaake and finish.
I'll say something about Chitata. The Chitata situation, definitely Chitata was used, and I didn't expect him to be exonerated. He was supposed to be put where he is right now. But on top of that, of being used, Chitata really harmed so many people. I know so many. By the time Chitata was in the border industry, I happened to do business in the same sector. So I know so many borders. If you see the amount or the mammoth of border riders who used to surround and be around Chitata, and right now Chitata is being incarcerated and no one. I'm telling you, if Chitata had done right by the borders, they would have taken over. They would have surrounded the army court, and they would have been there in mammoth numbers. But this is again, this is to go back to so many people, because Chitata felt untouchable. If you go back and see some of his video clips, he felt he was the next to Muhoozi. He used to behave as if he's Museveni's other son. He used to play from State House. But time has come where his role and purpose ceases to be important. Right. Because Chitata used to work hand in hand with Kayihura, and Kayihura takes orders from his boss. Chitata is now used, and now I'm encouraging the same people he tortured. Please, Chitata had 4 wives. Ugandans, don't leave those women single. Go and marry those wives. Let him serve the 8 years. And by the time he comes back, he will be you need to discipline him in all angles. And this goes to all these other politicians. I've seen people who are sleeping in bed with President Museveni, the likes of Bebe Cool. They think, oh, they are so important because he's a musician. Museveni is using you. When he's done with you, he'll dispose you of. The likes of Brian White. I've seen the likes of Catherine Kusasila. She can no longer perform unless she's singing on 7 functions. These are people who started up their careers as musicians, but they're going to waste themselves away because you want to sleep in the same bed with the dictator. And Chitata should be a perfect example for the rest who think they are either the other children of Museveni or who think they are untouchables and know very well that they're going to be used, they're going to be sent away, and their wives are going to be married by the same people they tortured. All
right, thank you. So before Honorable Zaake finish, I want to remind the people who are watching us from wherever you are, tomorrow we are having Honorable Betty Namboze Bachireke live here in the Uganda Crossroads Town Hall. I'll be hosting her with Alex, and we expect many people to come, and we wish you guys not to miss. So wherever you are, send the information. Honorable Namboze will be in the house tomorrow. I always ask tough questions, but this time it's going to be you, the viewers, and the audience. So I'm not going to ask any questions. Honorable Zaake, which kind of final message are you sending to the people in Mityana? Basically, then we conclude.
Yeah, I wish to thank the people who have been actually watching us and listening to us. You've done a very good job to listen to us. because it's not easy. You have a lot of things to do, but you sacrifice some of your time to listen to these ideas. And what I can assure you, I've been following up on social media, and I've seen most of your questions, and we've seen even advices. So we shall keep up connecting all the time to see that we fulfill all those kind of ideas, because people power, it's you and me. So I thank you so much, and I send greetings to the people of Mityana municipality. We are right here in the diaspora, in the States of America. We are representing you. We are lobbying for you so that we get the change we do deserve as the people of Uganda. And we thank you. Please, Soja Ron, we are there teri kuzikiza, tugenda bugenzi maaso, buli kimu kikole, n'omanyi tutuli bagumu, ate tujja kumalako, ono musajja, tumusobola, kubanga, tuli product yo yenyini yatuonoona, yatukoze buli kimu ekibi. So let him face what he did to us.
All right, thank you so much. I hope, Honorable Zaake, you're going to continue sharing our programs here again at Crossroads, Campfire TV, and I plan to have you back when in Uganda via Skype to have more discussion with you,
thank you.
And you guys. So to the people who are watching us from home, I want to thank you so much. We have seen all the comments. We are not leaving anything for granted. We have used some of your questions in a general way, not to mention names because you've been so many, and so it's hard for me to mention names. But all your questions are here, and I plan, with the Honorable, just as he has mentioned, they're going to work on them and your ideas. So we thank you so much. Coming up next, Love, Sex and Money. Tomorrow, don't forget, we have Honorable Namboze live here in the studio, and I expect you to be there. Have a great week. See you next Saturday. Hey guys, I want to thank you so much. Thank you.
Omutima gumenyese naye nga kyemanyi munywanyi nawe gukumenyese abantu eyo gye mpitira bayongobedde bye basuubira nga byawukana ku bye balaba ate abalala bo ne babyetama banyigirizibwa ne babulako gye balopa baabwe egye wandibadde olopera kibeera kizibu okufunayo obwenkanya kugamba osigala wansi ensi bwe kusuula situkawo mangu tutambule munsi teri kyangu lugendo luwanvu situka tugende mu maaso situka tutambule embeera emalamu amaanyi naye topowa tugende situka tutambule lugendo luwanvu bwe tulemerako tutuuka kale imuka tutambule embeera emalamu amaanyi topowa tugende utambule olugendo luwanvu bwe tulemerako tutuuka. Remember, an injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Still we have to keep moving. I don't know what don't kill you will only make you stronger. Emyaka gibadde mingi n'okutoba nakwera kubadde kunjiboyi n'ensuubi libadde lingi nga tusuubira nti oba embeera nakyukamu wakiri ati nze kyenzudde enkyukakyuka gy'oyo yabuna ngeri mikono gy'omwennyini kubanga oyo gw'olinamu ensuubi mu mazima naye alirinamu gwesebo kale gwe buli bw'onoogwa yimuka otambulirewo ebisoto byekubireko mu kkubo kubanga buli lw'onoogwa n'olaga nti oggwamu amaanyi eno balabira ku gwesebo obugubi bw'oyitamu naffe lwe tuyitamu naye tulemerako paka lwe tunaamalako omuliro gutwakiramu gusinga gwe tuyitamu yaga 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 situka tutambule embeera emalamu amaanyi naye topowa tugende situka tutambule olugendo luwanvu bwe tulemerako tutuuka obiyimuka tutambule embeera emalamu amaanyi topowa tugende obiyimuka tutambule olugendo luwanvu kati nzijukiza kwe yebase na buli eyekubagiza muganda wange kugamba situkirawo tulinawo omulimu omunene gwa kuzimba Buganda era ensi kusaaba baliddawo oba tosobola kudduka wakiri ng'otambula oba tosobola kutambula wakiri ng'oyabula oba tosobola kwabula wakiri nga weewalula naye kyonna kyekiri sigala ng'omuvinga tewali mireme gye bagenda kuletera awaka ku soosiyo oba tuli mu madibusano kangule ku voisiyo sigala ku koosiyo naye manya rights zo tolema kukolerera Buganda kwezimba ggwanga lyo wadde ng'abeewo tebali ku sayidi wadde ng'abeewo tebali ku sayidi yo kwezanya paati yo oba lino ggwanga lyo